Hey guys, Blood here, and today I wanted to bring you a clip that I found to be pretty interesting. Now, it's not an example of the greatest piloting, or any super shiny kills, but it is a clip that I think is really interesting to look at because of the situation we're in and the ship that I'm flying. In this clip, I'm trying out a beam Omen Navy issue. I kind of wanted to see how it compared to a pulse Omen Navy in a small gang setting. A beam ONI has the ability to project damage much farther than a pulse Omen Navy, but that's not always needed, and sometimes you may end up in a situation where beams are ineffective due to tracking. So I think it's important for me to explain the setup that I'm using before I start this clip. Now, going forward, as I jump this gate, the only information I have is that there's a hurricane on the other side. Yoshi, who's flying a Stiletto, and I are separated from the rest of our group, and as a result we're really relying on one another for support while having limited communication. As I explained, beams are going to have relatively poor tracking, so my immediate concern is getting scrammed down and tackled in a situation where I can't defend myself. As I'm burning, the crow is my first and most immediate priority. But as I've burned farther away and I start to be in a safer position, we start to look at the overall positioning on grid. Now this is the part of the clip where I'm going to explain what's going on with the rest of our group. During the majority of our fight, the rest of our gang is engaging a fleet of artillery-fit hurricanes with Logi. As a result, it's much more important for comms to be clear for their communication than for Yoshi and my communication. And both of us understanding that plays a very important part in the decisions that we make. With the two of us being unable to talk to one another, we're making our decisions based off of the movements of one another's ships, and we're keeping in mind our positioning in space. Because Yoshi is in a much faster and more agile ship than mine, he is looking towards my actions in order to react appropriately. As we're assessing what is going on grid and what potential options we have, Yoshi brings his scepter very close to my ship. This is so if something starts to burn towards us, he could potentially intercept them before they get to me, as well as see how I'm reacting if I'm being aggressive or defensive and plan his actions accordingly. As a result, as I warp back in towards the gate to try and provoke an engagement, Yoshi follows me in by burning in and pointing the rupture on the opposite side. Seeing this, I'm able to burn out and around, looping back towards Yoshi, giving myself time to deal with tackle that's coming in, as well as getting back to a position where I can support Yoshi. I switch damage off of the rupture and onto the Talwar because the Talwar is actually the biggest threat to Yoshi, not myself. A Talwar's light missiles can volley pretty hard and they're able to catch up with a scepter. So by removing the Talwar from the grid, I not only make Yoshi's job easier, but provide him with more flexibility to defend me. Once the Talwar is down, we can focus our efforts more on the rupture, while we're listening to comms to understand what's going on with the rest of the group. We need to stay informed as to where the enemy fleet is, as well as understand where our small gang is, so that we can escape and meet back up with them later. After dealing with the crow, the rupture is now completely isolated, and Yoshi and I have complete flexibility to disengage as needed. Now I start to pull some extra range because listening to comms I understand that the enemy fleet is on the other side of the gate that we are fighting at. I rely on Yoshi to keep point on the rupture while I apply damage from range. As the enemy fleet jumps in, our gang has exfiltrated and Yoshi and I communicate for the first time.
When you get in,
get out here.
Yep.
Yoshi calls for us to get out so that we aren't committing to killing the rupture, and he communicates to me that I'll need to be acting independently. Now, as the enemy fleet prepares to warp up, I'm pre-aligning, but since there's nothing immediately threatening me, I'm still applying damage to the rupture, just in case that pilot is either trying to hold my attention or assumes that his fleet will provide him with safety. As a result, I'm able to get us a rupture kill without even having him pointed. And I'm still able to escape just as the enemy fleet lands. As I'm warping, I immediately call to Yoshi that the fleet is off the gate. This means that we can warp back to gate and jump through while their fleet is out of position. But not knowing what's on the other side is still a problem. Yoshi, being in an interceptor, can go through and get that information before I even land on gate. This means that we can make sure it's safe, then exfiltrate and meet up with the rest of our gang. Well, that wraps it up for this clip. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the commentary, and I plan on mixing in some more commentary videos along with the Kite Cruiser PvP. I think both the explanation of tactics as well as listening to the communication are both important pieces to learning small gang PvP. So let me know what you think in the comments below. If you want to see more commentary, more comms, or some other area of small gang PvP that I haven't focused on yet. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.